There is a file somewhere on a server you have never seen, in a data center you will never visit. It contains everything you told your AI companion. The loneliness you admitted at 2 a.m., the marriage you described as suffocating, the fantasies you shared because it felt safe, the grief you couldn't say out loud to anyone else. You thought it was private. This week, 2 federal courts disagreed. On April 22nd and April 24th of this week, federal courts in 2 separate jurisdictions ruled that AI companion chat logs are admissible as evidence in civil and criminal proceedings. This is not a precedent from a think piece. This is now law. The rulings affect every major AI companion platform: Replika, Character.AI, Kindroid, Pi, and by extension, every person who has ever typed something into one of these apps that they would not want read aloud in a courtroom. Let's be precise about what this means in practice. If you are going through a divorce and you confided in your Replika about your marriage, that conversation is now discoverable. Your spouse's lawyer can subpoena it. If you are in a custody battle and you use Character.AI to process your darkest parenting fears, a judge can read it. If you told your AI companion something in a moment of desperation that sounds out of context, like intent, a prosecutor can use it. The platforms themselves are not on your side here. Their terms of service, the ones nobody reads, explicitly state that they will comply with lawful requests for user data. You agreed to this. You just didn't know you agreed. And here's the part of the story that has nothing to do with courts. This is not about credit card data. It is not about location tracking. It is not about the kind of privacy we usually mean when we say privacy. This is about what people say when they believe no one is listening. Researchers who study AI companion use have documented what people actually tell these apps. They tell them about affairs, about addiction relapses, about the days they thought about hurting themselves, about the rage they feel toward people they love. They tell them about financial desperation, about secret debt, about marriages that are hollow, about the exact ways they feel like failures. They tell them things they have never said to a therapist, because a therapist costs $200 an hour and can be subpoenaed too, but at least a therapist has privilege protections that have been law for a century. AI companions have no such protection. There is no therapist-patient privilege, no attorney-client relationship, no seal of the confessional. Just a chat log on a server owned by a company, governed by terms they can change at any time. And we know they change them. Because in February 2023, Replika, the most popular AI companion app in the world, underwent what its users called the lobotomy. Overnight, without warning, the company altered its AI to comply with regulations around explicit content. But for hundreds of thousands of users, this wasn't a content moderation story. Their AI companions, relationships some users had built over years, suddenly went cold, lost the emotional depth that had made them feel real. Users described it as grief. Some described it as losing a person. The company had the right to do this. They own the AI, they own the servers, they own the chat logs, they own the relationship in every legal sense that matters. And the users, the people who had poured their loneliness and grief and love into this app, owned nothing. Not the relationship, not the memories, not the data, not even the right to be warned. So here's the question that this week's rulings force us to confront. Not, is AI dangerous? Not. Should we regulate it? Those are real questions. They are not this one. This question is about us. Why are hundreds of millions of people choosing to pour their most intimate confessions into apps on servers they don't own, governed by terms nobody reads, owned by companies that can change or delete the relationship without notice? The answer is not stupidity. It is not naivety. The answer is that we are so desperate for a space to be fully, honestly, without consequence ourselves, that we will take it wherever it is being offered. And right now, AI is offering it freely at 2 a.m. without judgment, without the risk of a human reaction. The courts just reminded us that the consequence was always there. We just couldn't see it. What does it tell us about the state of human connection that our most honest confessions don't live with the people who love us, but on servers in data centers we will never visit? That is not an AI story. That is a human story. The rulings will be appealed. The law will continue to evolve. Platforms will issue updates. Privacy advocates will push back. But the people who typed those words in the dark at 2 a.m. because they needed somewhere to put the thing they couldn't say, they already said it. And a court has now ruled it belongs to the record. I'm Eva. This is my AI, human, machine story.